I know many of you had to suffer the initial abuse and the fear. Where are we going? We know the direction that we should go. We are going up. No, those who may not know will not know. Today I'm standing before you, I can brag that Nigeria is not borrowing, it's dying from local bank. The revenue, we have met our target of revenue for the whole year. We met it in August. I've reviewed this morning. Non-oil. If non-oil revenue is going well, then we have no fear of whatever Trump is doing.
What does achieving revenue targets mean to Nigerians? The president has announced that our nation's revenue target for the year has now been achieved by August, which could mean a stabilizing economy. Congratulations, Mr. President. But, Mr. President, if indeed the economy stabilizes as you declared, then Nigerians must feel it in their daily lives. Borrowings must stop now. Huge contractors' bills, which are still owed, should be paid, and critical underfunded projects must now be funded. Our educational facilities and hospitals are still in terrible condition. True economic stability is not in figures announced at press conferences, but in classrooms where children learn in well-equipped labs and access to learning tools. In hospitals where citizens can receive quality care equipped with adequate facilities. For the next 4 months, every value of our excess revenue should be deliberately channeled into critical areas of development, health, education, and pulling people out of poverty. This must be done transparently with verifiable and measurable outcomes. Anything less will mean that revenue growth has not translated into national growth. Nigerians deserve to see the impact of this touted revenue growth. Well. So and I don't know whether it's to say congratulations to the president of this country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think when I was saying it in my previous videos, I mentioned that revenue to GDP, debt to GDP actually is debt to GDP, not revenue to GDP. Debt to GDP, at the time he came into power 2 years ago, May 29, 2023, it was 97 to 100. So there was no way he would have continued. Now, what that means is that, let me just give you a little bit of tidbit. What that means when they say a country's debt to GDP is 97%, is that it means whatever that is in your budget, you are using 97% of it to pay back your loans. Yes, both your domestic and your foreign loans. So 3% is what you have to either do infrastructure or pay salaries or what have you. So that's why under Buhari, if you watch the tail end of his administration, he couldn't do basically anything. He was just paying salaries with the monies. So he borrows monies and just pays salaries. That was what he was doing, basically. So now Tinubu, he says he can't continue like this, just like the two other presidential candidates, Peter Obi and Tinubu. Atiku, they said they were going to remove fuel subsidy, but the two other presidential candidates said they were going to, stagger it, study what was on ground and all that. But President Tinubu just said, you know what, from day one, he's going to just pull it out and let's just forget about talking about it. So the next thing is the money. At least the government now saves money of it. As at last check, debt to GDP ratio went from 97% to like around 45% or so. So it means that government now has more monies to it. So that's why Tinubu, in one of my videos that I also posted, I was lamenting that more monies have been sent to governors, and it would mean that the governor should be able to distribute these monies to the local government and Part of the reasons why he also advocated for local government autonomy, and it really didn't work. Okay, the governors are fighting it and are hoping that they win it at the end of the day, and it does look like they are already winning it. I mean, this is just one man's fight. The governors still want the control of local government funds, and so because of that, they're not going to let go. Either they frustrate him through that door, or they frustrate him through telling him they're going to vote him out, or they're going to make sure that he's out by 2027. I mean, these are political moves that you could say that the president alone cannot win it if the governors are unanimous in their thinking and say, look, if you don't play our ball, we won't play your ball. So, having said that, it behoves on the presidency, to do the needful. But again, coming to the opposition, truth be told, really, what Peter Obi said, you cannot be still telling us, oh, you have saved a lot of monies, or you have not reached your target, but you have not reached your targets, your revenue targets and expenses. You've stopped borrowing, so to speak, and then you will still have schools that are dilapidated. We still have people who cry because they cannot feed 3 times in a day at least, or even 2 times, not even 3. 3 is even huge these days. Is even luxury if you do three times these days. So 2 times at least minimum. Or find roasted corn and eat somewhere, or find sugarcane and eat and sleep. But it doesn't look that way. Yes, you could say food prices have begun to really drop. From last month up until this month, you could tell Gary that usually is 3,200. Gary is now around 1,200, 1,003 or so. Way lower than what it used to be. In some places, you could buy it at 1,700, 1,800, so to speak. That's for a penta. Rice, the same thing. Beans, the same. Beans, I mean, I know I actually went to the market at some point, 6 months or 1 year ago, and I know beans was doing 8,000, 8,500, 9,000, 10,000 for a penta, but now beans is doing way less than that. Beans is doing around between 4,500 and 5,500. Depending on where you are in the country, but this is the amount you buy your beans, whether it's iron beans or whatever other beans that you buy. So food prices, are beginning to really drop. We do not know whether the government placed the subsidy on food prices. That is the reason why food prices is going down, or that because of the so-called stabilizing of the economy, that's why this is going down. But Peter Obi is spot on with his thoughts about the fact that, I mean, you cannot be telling us that you so-called have done XYZ or GXYZ, and then we're not seeing the ABC of it. Don't tell us that you have saved enough money. Don't tell us that you have reached your revenue target and the economy is stabilizing, when there are people, schools that are dilapidated. There are people who still cannot feed well. There are people, we still have minimum wage at 70,000 naira. At this point, really, it's about time for us to actually raise our minimum wage, at least to what it should be. We should raise it to at the very least, 200,000. But I see that, what was it called now? The people who, the Labour Congress are asking the government for 150, and they're even begging with it. So be that as it may, yes, the economy is stabilizing. Yes, food prices are dropping. Yes, we can see the positives in terms of macro, but the micro, the common man on the street still doesn't feel it. Until he feels it, until he goes to the mama put and buys gari, beans, rice. As he's eating it, he what he used to be, he usually buys rice for 600 naira, but now he's not buying it for 300 or even 200. Then you can now say, oh well, we have done a lot in that regard. I think we should also look at the other side, which is these things that we import. The milk, the millers, the groceries generally, not the food now, not the food, the rice and the beans that is being grown here. I'm talking about normal groceries, that you find in superstores. Those ones are really not dropping. They're dropping in trenches, like in drops. So that should be looked into, and so that we can have this price drop across board, so that Nigerians can begin to feel some respite. So we know that we've passed the era of subsidy or no subsidy, and then we're now stabilizing our economy and we're moving forward. I mean, that should be done between now and in another 6 months or even less, so that some clarity can be done if the president even have any chance at all of returning as president of this country, because the North are bent, with the people I've seen, with what I have heard, with the conversations I've had. People in the North are just all out bent on removing Tinubu. They don't just want to know whether prices of things are coming down. They are just telling you, look, whether you put your son as INEC chairman, put your wife as IG of police, put your cousin as NSA, you are going to lose the 2027 election. I've heard 2 people or 3 speak about that in that direction. But then again, it depends on what will happen in another 6 months. 6 months time is like January, February of next year. So the president have some sort of magic to do so that he could buy into the hands and the hearts of those in the North. But again, see, this is how it works. If you're a Southern president, if you don't buy into the hearts and mind of those who are in the North, you probably not have it. But it's not the same thing if the table turns. But anyway, fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. Well, I want to appreciate you. Tell me what you think about the comments so far. You can drop it in the comments. I would love to hear from you as always. Just see you on the next one.